Hi, YouTube.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Movie Monday Review. I know we haven't done one of these in a while because, we haven't done videos in a while because he's busy, I'm busy, and, I think my priorities are just so far off because, I've been going on trips and stuff, and I don't want to, do a bunch of series if I'm not going to be here, the next week and such, so,
Right. But we both have a little bit of time, so we've been talking about this movie for a long time. It's Bird Box.
yeah. So, yeah, we've been talking about doing this review since April.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But then, yeah, I think even March. But then what happened was, I think, I was finishing up school, and then, Death Note, we were finishing up that. I should say, too, we're releasing this video Monday, which will be on, July 15th, 2019. Today's July 13th, 2019, because we're pre-recording this. Why we just are, because I won't want to do it Monday, because I would have worked. So, yeah. But yeah, let's talk about Bird Box. I'm excited about this one. Did we do the introductions? I think we did.
Yeah, I'm AJ, you're Owen, anyway.
Yeah.
I
think we're still a little rusty because we haven't been doing videos consistently.
Yeah. Anyway, well, at first we meet. Well, it starts off, and this is kind of a flaw. We both agree with the movie. It starts off 5 years in the future.
Some things I want to talk about first.
Okay.
This was a movie that came out last Christmas. Which is kind of an odd timing because
I know it's like a horror movie. Like, okay.
Yeah, I would put this out around Halloween time. Maybe they were in the because it's not like it doesn't take 2 months to make a movie. Unless they were still in the process of making it, trying to get it released. But it just kind of seemed like a strange time to release it around Christmas time because no one really wants to watch a horror movie unless it's Christmas themed around Christmas time. Everyone kind of wants to watch the feel good Christmas movies. But a lot of people. This movie got not really a cult following, but it got very popular. A lot of people were talking about it. We were seeing, challenges done with the blindfolds, and such. So
yeah,
I want to just make sure we met. Huh?
Yeah, it was the trend for a while. It was the hot topic.
I want to make sure I mention that because it's going to kind of tie into the review when we do the letter grades and such.
Yeah,
but let's talk
if we feel like it deserves its success or not.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. First, I like to say this stuff because when we review a movie, this stuff's important. Yeah, so it was directed by Suzanne Breyer, I think is how you say her name. And it was also produced by Dylan Clark, Chris Morgan, and Clayton Townsend. The screenplay was written by Eric Eisenwer. I have no clue if that's how you say that, but like I said, go to Wikipedia and you'll be able to pronounce it better. It's actually based on a book, I think. Yeah, it's a book. That came out in 2014. So maybe a lot of our criticisms will be because we didn't read the book. Maybe. I'm just guessing here. But yeah, it's based on a book, Bird Box, that was written by Josh Mallerman. And the music was done by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. The cinematography was done by Salvatore Tortino. It was edited by Ben Lester. The production company, that produced this movie were Bluegrass Films and Chris Morgan Productions. Chris Morgan Productions makes sense because he was the one that produced the movie, so why wouldn't his company do it? So there you go. It was distributed by Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you can easily watch this movie. And it has 2 release dates. First being November 12th, 2018 by AFI. Or is that L? I think that's L. AFL Fest. Because they typically do previews. And then, December 14th, 2018 for the United States. And, anyone that has Netflix, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's in English, because sometimes we might review a foreign film, so we have to make sure we say it's in English. And now you get to guess the budget. I should have had you guess the date, too, but whatever.
I'm going to guess the budget was... I'm going to say... $4 million.
No. It was $19.8 million.
Really? See, it doesn't seem like a very, I mean, I don't really know how much budgets for movies
Yeah.
are, but it doesn't seem like a very like high budget movie, you know?
I kind of agree with that. Because they didn't. It's not. I mean, the only reason I could think of is because they, yeah, because it doesn't. Because they didn't do like a big explosion.
Yeah,
Um,
like
they didn't.
locations, a grocery store, and a house.
Yeah. Unless
It's
they
got
also
good actors, but none of them are like
yeah.
Michael Jordan or like like Tom
I
Cruise.
guess you gotta think too. Maybe they have this because you gotta think the budget too. It probably costs money to do the camera work and probably rent the grocery stores they go to and such. But still, I would think the budget would be a
Well,
lot
I
low.
was way off, so just goes to show why I should not be a movie producer.
Hey, whatever. Maybe, but it is a bit of a surprise of how high it. I mean, because the quality looks like it's a 2018 movie, but it is surprising, yeah. And the box office there isn't one because basically you just gotta go into Netflix and
Yeah,
they
it's
probably
free on
get
Netflix, so
yeah.
no
I'm
box
assuming they
office.
get something from like Netflix, because obviously enough people watch it, they probably get something out of that and things like that. Um, but now let's talk about the film itself because I feel like that type of stuff's important to talk about because we got to give those people the credits.
Yeah.
Um, think about when we review a really bad movie, they don't want to. We have to give them the credit for that too. So,
Oh yeah. They're
um,
like, no, you don't have to credit us. No, we will. Trust us.
yeah. Um,
Anyway, the movie starts off 5 years for the actual beginning of the movie.
which we said, I've been as we were going to talk about one of the biggest criticisms because we're not going to review the movie chronologically because it goes back and forth throughout the movie. And that's like really a big flaw of the movie is that it shows too much of the future where it
And
gives
honestly,
away.
what they show isn't really all that interesting. It's like them on a river, and that's
Yeah,
it.
but with
Like some of it's interesting, like when the riverman attacks them. It's like, oh, okay, there are people who can walk around without blindfolds. That's
yeah,
interesting. Then we find out later why.
yeah,
But like, we don't really need that, you know?
especially too, with the characters that are in the movie, a lot of them die, and by the time by the time they die, we already know they die because it shows because Mallory and like her kids are on the river, so we know clearly something happens to them that causes them to die. So it's like, you know, what I would have taken the Breaking. I know I keep rapping Breaking Bad down everyone's throat, but I'm just saying I would have taken that method where the future that Breaking Bad showed, towards season 5 didn't give away, anything that happened in like
And it wasn't like that far off.
yeah,
Like,
um,
like we jumped like maybe a couple months in Breaking Bad. Here, it's like 5 whole years. A lot changed.
but this would have been. But I feel like if the people that wrote this movie wrote Breaking Bad, they would have shown episode like 14 before they showed episode 8. Where gliding it all over. They would have showed that episode like after Ozymandias.
Yeah.
Which that's an episode you don't want to see first.
Yeah.
Because if you see, because then it ruins episode 8. And I mean, we could talk about too, like it's like if even a Death Note, if they showed episode 25 or so before episode 2, then
Yeah, like, okay, well now we know what's gonna happen there.
yeah. Well,
And it's
episode
like, Mallory we see is the only one in the house, so we know that everyone else is dead.
yeah. So yeah.
We get
But
a
yeah.
little bit of a subversion with this later on in the film with Tom, but only temporarily.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna talk about everything like happened 5 years earlier first, just because it's easier. And yeah, I will say the only thing they should have showed was Mallory telling the kids are on the trip that they're going on the trip, but not show who she's telling, like who she's going on the trip with. Because it gives like enough of a mystery, but we don't know anything that happens. That's all they should have showed in 5 years earlier. Just say
Yeah, we just like know they gotta get the fuck out of the house.
Yeah, but we don't really know like where she is. Because then we talk about
to, how many people are there, etc., etc.
yeah. Because another flaw about that too is Mallory's character like it takes time to develop, but by showing Mallory 5 years later, it kind of skips. Like we already know her character development pretty much.
Yeah, honestly, a problem with it is like in the 5 years, she became like a super like down to business, like honestly kind of a psychopath. Like she is not emotionally attached to her kids and like just calls them boy and girl.
And we don't really. I mean, we have an idea
we
why.
Kind of tell like PTSD from the whole Gary situation.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't want to get attached to people.
Yeah, so we have an idea why, but it's kind of like since they skipped 5 years into the future,
it's kind of just going like from 0 to 100 real quick. We don't see it go from like 0 to 20 to like we don't see it progress.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's like a bit, and the movie's too long, which we discussed. It would have been it would have been vindicated if we had seen what Mallory went through in the like 5 years.
Then more of like her and Tom's relationship.
Yeah. Which is weird. They didn't get together for like 5 years, like in the way they lonely.
Yeah, they got together after the Gary thing, but like we barely see it,
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about 5 years earlier. Mallory is like living like in a pretty dingy apartment by herself.
Her sister comes by and we find out like the baby daddy who got her pregnant just left.
Yeah.
Like they weren't even dating; they were just like roommates, and it just kind of happened.
Yeah. Which is
the guy got a case of get out of the movie-itis.
Yeah. Maybe like I like to think maybe he was gonna get cast, and then he's like, we don't really need to, and like maybe they couldn't find like someone that like fit that role, so it's like let's just say Mallory's father just abandoned him because we can't find a good person to be Mallory's husband.
I know. Well, not even husband. They say in the movie like they were just like roommates, and then he just like left.
Yeah. Maybe he's chilling in Hawaii too.
With Mel and that one business guy from Death Note.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a running joke. If you don't get it, watch Death Note.
Well, I'll review anyways, because
Yeah, our review of it.
Because it doesn't say it in Death Note. That'd be funny. Yeah. Because because we tell them to watch Death Note, and then they wouldn't know the joke because it doesn't come up.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense in the show, but if you watch a review of it. Anyway, they go to the hospital. We see on the news, like in the background, people are going crazy in like Europe.
Yeah, which notice it always starts in Europe and then it comes to US. Like,
yeah.
And then we know Mallory too. Like is, she's painting pictures.
So it's weird that like no one is concerned. Like, oh hey man, there are a bunch of people just going crazy. Well, that's weird. Anyway, let's go to the hospital.
Yeah, right. It's funny thing too. If this could be like a what if? What if Mallory didn't go to the hospital? Like everyone would have just been going crazy, and she just would be sitting there like because she covered all the windows all the time. So
yeah. So like, what if everyone started going crazy? She just stayed in her apartment.
Yeah. Because
she wouldn't have met Tom or anyone else.
Yeah. She wouldn't have even known there was like an apocalypse. Really. She probably know if like a TV didn't work, but she'd be like, huh, that's weird.
Well, I'm sure she'd look outside and be like, see, everyone's going crazy.
Yeah. But we should talk about too how Mallory, here is, feeling very lonely because, her roommate abandoned her and stuff with a kid. And she paints a picture that kind of symbolizes that. And I thought that was pretty cool how they explored that.
Like she's like shown to like not really be interested in like the kid. Like isn't like very emotionally attached.
And isn't really, socializing with anyone.
Which kind of makes sense for later on.
Yeah.
Like when like she just names the kids boy and girl.
Yeah. Then they go
not really enough in my opinion.
Yeah. Then they go to the hospital. Basically it was just a checkup on the baby, and the Dr. Lapham the hell's the cast. Yeah, Dr. Lapham, points out that there's, options for adoption or, any other thing that you can do if you don't really want to have your kid. I think they wanted to say abortion, but, they know, I think the movie knows, like, that's a
little of a touchy subject, so yeah.
But that really wasn't much longer.
That's not, what?
I was about to say, that wasn't an option for much longer, though, so.
I mean, I know, she was pretty pregnant already, so like I don't think that's really a thing.
We're gonna say because the next thing that happens, adoption goes away completely.
Yeah, because society, yeah. When she leaves, she sees a lady start bashing her head against a wall.
Yeah. Well, the glass. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and she freaks out, tells her sister to, drive. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
And it was kind of weird how like, so like the window's completely open, everyone could see outside, but only that one lady started freaking out at first.
Yeah. Right.
And then like everyone, I was like, why is it like slowly taking over? Shouldn't it just like everyone just suddenly flip out?
Yeah, because when a zombie apocalypse typically happens, it's it happens very quickly.
Well, it's just like these things are outside. You see them, you go crazy. So like, did just that one lady see it? Like was no one else looking outside when that happened?
Yeah, I know. Like that's like one flaw. Like a lot of people say like they don't need to because it's a zombie apocalypse thing, but I feel like this was kind of the case because basically they tell us about it later, but we'll just say what it is. Pretty much, if you look at this being, you like see your worst fear and you kill yourself. But it is weird, yeah, that like only one person can look at it and then die.
Although, like, it's not really. They say fear, but like there are a couple like weird things, like Gary says they're beautiful and like.
Yeah, like. Yeah, like
Olympia when spoilers, she says, "Oh, you're not so bad." So like it's kind of unclear like what they make you think.
Yeah, like
they
make you very
for every person.
They make you very suicidal though. Because basically anyone that like sees this kills themselves.
It just seems like you just whatever they make you feel, you just can't handle it.
Yeah. So it could be lost. It can be. Maybe like someone you never got to know, things like that.
Yeah. Like Linda saw her dead mother.
Yeah. So that ties in. But yeah, back to so Mallory freaks out. She tells her sister to drive. And she basically realizes like, that this is the same situation that's taking place, in Europe. That it's here now. Then and also too, Jessica doesn't want to like drive too fast because Mallory's pregnant and stuff too. So she's like stopping.
Jessica ends up seeing it while she's driving.
Yeah, and the car.
Mallory can't see anything, and it's like explained later. Like pregnant women are like for some reason like kind of immune.
Yeah.
Like not really, because like later on she needs to like she can't look outside.
Yeah. So
like it's kind of like they're kind of immune, but not really.
Yeah. So I believe she crashes the car. Yeah, she crashes the car. And it like tips over. And Jessica just walks right into traffic and just gets hit by a car. And crushed. And everybody's like running, freaking out. And Mallory, it looks like is not gonna make it. So Linda, who we find out later on. I always notice not Linda, Lydia, by the way. I always notice in everything I review, Walking Dead, Breaking Bad, and now here, there's always a Lydia.
You're right.
That name must be very common.
Except this Lydia is like a pretty nice person helping this pregnant lady, but like Lydia in Breaking Bad, total bitch.
And this Lydia only lasts like 3 seconds because she sees the being and just walks into a burning car and dies.
Yeah, well, typically when you walk into fire, you're not getting away from that.
Yeah, you can, but not in this case. So
when you sit in it for a good, couple minutes, nah, I think you're all set.
And then and we like I said, she saw her mom like who had died years ago. And we see Thomas saving Mallory, and they go to the house, and Gary lets them in because we find out Greg lets them in. Greg. Because we find out that it's his house, but Douglas doesn't want to let anyone in. I think like too they tell a good story. Like we know Douglas has always been this way, but definitely him losing his wife because of like he feels like he blames Mallory.
So it kind of makes sense like why he's such an asshole.
Yeah, because so you kind of sympathize with him a little bit because he just
it's like okay, the good dude just like lost his wife right in front of him. You can't really expect him to be just all right, cool guys.
Yeah.
Let's have some fun in the apocalypse.
Yeah, especially too, it was because of Mallory too, the person she went to save. So, so we see Mallory, Tom, Cheryl, Felix, Lucy, and Samantha and Jason. Samantha and Jason are just background characters. We just see them on their phones, but they're there. So we should mention they were there. So we should make sure we mention them because they got money out of this movie. So we should make sure we talk about them. They played a part. They were
there.
They were the Nat of Death. They were the Nat of Death Note here. Where we just showed up.
They showed up. They said something probably, and that was it.
Yeah. We don't know what happened to them either. They just gone. So.
They don't even get killed by Gary.
We don't even see them anywhere. Like they just left, I guess.
Do you think when Mallory was leaving the house, they showed up like, hey, and they're like, oh my god, we've been here the whole time.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, why didn't you stop Gary? Like, and it's like, we weren't told to do. It wasn't in the script. We weren't told to do
I like to think they're there the whole time, just no one notices them.
Yeah, right. But yeah. So then typically, what I like to look at stuff is stuff that happens. Since Walking Dead takes place in 2010, being in a zombie apocalypse, a lot of different things would happen. Because
zombie apocalypse and this are a little different.
Yeah. This is 2018. We see people watching the news. We see people going for their phones. It's just it's just very different because it just shows how iPhones have taken over the world now and stuff like that.
Yeah, smartphones in 2010, people had them, but they weren't as common, I guess.
Yeah. And
our grandmother still uses a flip phone, so
Yeah. And they try to get in contact with the loved ones and kind of let them know what's going on. And then they try to figure out what this thing is. This is where we meet Charlie, and he kind of says, that he writes scary stories about this type of stuff, and he kind of explains it takes your deepest fear, loss, and worse, and just makes you feel, which was kind of what we've been saying, throughout all along.
And now he's kind of right, but also kind of not. He's hit most of the marks.
Yeah. But it is kind of nice, to kind of have someone, that's knows somewhat about this stuff. Because this, in the zombie apocalyptic stuff, it takes place in a universe where zombies don't exist, because it makes sense, because then, why would they not, do other things, that we know about, so, and then, Mallory is kind of, telling Thomas, she's just distraught, because she just saw her sister die right in front of her, and she's kind of...
Yeah, it tends to take a second to walk that off.
Yeah, and then, this is where
how Mallory's baby is just okay after her car flipped and then she got pushed down by 3 people. I have no idea.
Especially to because that's another thing's happening with too. It is kind of crazy.
A strong baby.
Yeah. So then the day continues. And then, we get the introduction of Olympia, because, there's other things that happen, but it's not important.
Well, I mean, they hook Greg up to the chair, they tie him down, and, have him look at the monitor, because they're just, kind of, testing the waters, seeing what they can and can't do.
Yeah. I think that was... because I think that was first, actually, yeah.
Olympia doesn't show up till, later.
Yeah.
They had already been living in the house for a couple weeks when Olympia shows up.
Yeah, so they tie Greg down to and as they tie,
he can't kill himself, but see okay, well, do you kill yourself if you see these things on the monitor?
And we find out that Douglas and Greg don't really get along, because Douglas is suing Greg for building a new foundation to his house, which. It kind of showed that Douglas is just an asshole because
But before they leave the room, when they tie Greg down, Douglas says you and your husband are good people, and I'm kind of sorry.
Yeah, so this was really
Douglas isn't a heartless monster. He does like Greg. He's just
yeah. And we get to find out a little bit about the characters. We find out that Felix and Lucy, they're building them to be a couple. We find out that Lucy wants to be a cop. And for someone that wants to be a cop, she just can't cope with this at all. And I get it makes sense with this, but if she...
Well, granted, stopping a burglary and then the apocalypse are a bit different.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go. And then,
there's one scene where, like, Felix is like, hey, apocalypse, we should, date. And she's like, no. And then, like, an hour later, they're a thing. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That didn't take long.
It was supposed to be done for comedy, and I didn't find it funny because, it was so predictable, so...
I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah. And then, we find out that that it didn't work. Greg, kills himself. He falls onto the table and hits his head really hard, so... yeah, he's not surviving that. And then they have to smash the laptop before, the being...
Yeah, so they don't see it.
Yeah.
So they find out they can't, look outside at all, even just through, cameras.
Yeah. Which, I kind of like that they did this scene because it was basically a way for them to tell us that. And then this
I feel like that's what you would do in this situation. You would, try to, test and see what you can and can't do.
Yeah. Because that's what a lot of people do. And then, then Olympia comes in. We find out, when they save her...
So was Olympia before or after the grocery store?
She was before the grocery store, because that's why they went to the grocery store, because they had 2 pregnant women versus 1.
Right.
So Olympia comes in, and I actually like, how they put a blanket over her just to make sure, a being wouldn't be on, with her when she walks into the room and stuff like that. And they have to cover their eyes every time they open the doors or windows. And, Douglas doesn't want, they're all kind of, even Mallory, is, suspicious, about letting anybody in because, it can lead to, more, them being doomed a lot more because, it's, another person they have to feed and they don't really know the type of people that they're letting in. Because, when you're in an apocalypse, your mindset changes because you just get into survival mode. Yeah, when Olympia comes in, and this is where we get a little bit of background even more about Mallory because she grabs Douglas's shotgun and shows she knows how to use it by reloading it and such things
like that. Yeah, does a trick with it.
Yeah. So we know because they talk about too how Jessica and Mallory didn't come from really a good family background. The father wasn't abusive, but they kind of say it without saying it, but made a lot of excuses about doing the shit that he did, and the mom really wasn't in the picture all that much. So, they kind of tell us that. But yeah, we find out that Olympia husband's in the service. So she's just been kind of fending for herself, and she ate all her food because she didn't want to starve her baby. Yeah, pretty much, she just ran to find safety until she came here. So, basically they let Olympia stay because they're not just going to send her off to die at that point. You just be...
Right, yeah.
So, Mallory and Olympia stay together. Olympia, and I kind of like too how they had another pregnant woman because it was to really show how different Mallory was being pregnant versus Olympia. Olympia's really excited about having a kid.
Yeah, it seems like the standard pregnant woman.
And Mallory was different because she was trying to ask Mallory a lot of questions about it. Mallory's talking, but it's basically the type of conversation where that person doesn't want to talk to you. They're kind of giving half-ass answers and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That type of
So, and this is where then it cuts to the scene where we find out that Felix and Lucy are a thing, and they have Mallory and Tom talk to each other just to kind of show they're possibly going to be a thing, where they talk about when Mallory thanks Tom for saving her and stuff like that. Like I said, the conversation's not immensely important, but
yeah, it's just show they get along.
Yeah.
Anyway, they need food, so they decide. Because the car has GPS, so they could see what's around that. Well, they don't not see physically, but it has a radar.
Yeah.
So a team assembles and heads to the grocery store.
Which Charlie works at, because that's how they know to go to this grocery store.
Yeah.
They go to the grocery store. And
And on the way there, like, the things, like, don't attack, but, like, it sets off the radar, like, it's all around them.
Yeah. And they're, like, moving the car a little bit.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, like, how much, like, are they, like, physically there, or, like, what are they? Because, like, can they, like, move stuff?
Yeah. I wish we could have, like, seen them once, just so we could really, because we wouldn't be asking these questions.
I mean, like, I like that they keep it vague, but maybe it's a little too vague.
Yeah. You know, because you would think in 2 hours they would tell us this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they finally like go into the supermarket and they reach heaven at this point because they haven't
just go on a shopping spree.
Yeah. And Douglas just wants to, which in hindsight they should have listened to Douglas, but they really couldn't at that point. But we'll get into why in a second.
Yeah, well, Mallory says like we're not assholes.
Yeah. Douglas just wants to stay there.
Let's just stay there. Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't want to stay there. This is when Mallory too finds the birds, and I'm gonna get into the birds in a second.
And the only reason they don't stay there is because they have people back at the house and they don't want to just like abandon them.
But then
but Douglas like he starts drinking, so like that's why he's kind of more of an asshole than usual.
Yeah, well they say when you drink, a lot of your real stuff, like you talk about like your real.
Oh, it's a funny scene where Douglas was like, "We're making the apocalypse great again," and then like it cuts to the two black guys like don't like. So I think that was just kind of funny.
That was definitely a reference to Donald Trump.
Yeah, it was.
And then yeah, but I think the main reason they don't stay is because then we see like someone's like behind in the storage room who Charlie works with, asking to be let in, and because they're good people, they go to let him in, but then
well, they're very hesitant at first.
Yeah.
But and Charlie's like, he's a little crazy, but like he's always cool to me.
Yeah. And they're about to let him in, but then he says, "Why don't you come see this beautiful creature out here?" And the guy's forcing himself in, and probably about to pull one of them out so they can look. So Charlie sacrifices himself.
Yeah, he like charges them, and the guy makes Charlie, and like the door shuts, and he makes Charlie look, and then you just see like blood.
Yeah.
Come out from the door.
So that's what really doesn't make him stay, because of this guy right here. So, because that's what made Douglas change his mind.
They were all like freaked out, and then they like hear him start banging, like, "Please let me in."
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, I don't know how that guy's still alive, but we need to like get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it was very creepy because we didn't really know why he was able to like look fine and stuff like that. So, then they go back to the house and they find out Charlie's not alive. And I really like, how Douglas reacts, because he just says it's one novel I don't have to read now, because it really shows like how much of an asshole Douglas is and stuff. And
but Mallory like stands up for Charlie, like he saved us.
Yeah. Then Mallory and Douglas talk, and this was a nice scene because Douglas kind of admits to himself like he basically admits that he is an asshole because he's had like 3 wives, and he can describe like one of them said like that they weren't afraid to go to hell anymore because being married to him was like being in hell.
Yeah, and he says like Lydia was like he was like third one was the charm because Lydia was the best woman I ever met.
Yeah. So and Mallory admits like Douglas reminds her a lot of her dad, because he acts like her. So this is kind of when we really know like something was clearly wrong with Mallory's dad. So.
Well, like they kind of come to like they kind of like mend fences a little bit.
Yeah. And he has Mallory drink alcohol, and this was just to show like because we're in a different society, like the rules really don't apply, which is kind of a lame excuse. I
mean, like she has like a little bit of alcohol. I don't think it's that big a deal.
Yeah, I don't think it's like it's not like she drank a whole bottle of it. So
yeah, she had just like a little sip. It's like who cares?
Yeah. But if I like fell out of my rolled around in a car and fell a bunch of times,
flipped like 180 times.
I would be taking
pushed down like 3 times during the apocalypse. I mean, at that point, a little bit of beer, who cares?
Yeah. I don't know. I wouldn't be taking any chance. Can you imagine too like that like made the baby all mess up? Just that little bit of alcohol.
Yeah.
Not flip it over.
Everything else before that was fine, but.
Yeah. And then this was Felix and Felix and Lucy leave. off to Hawaii.
Yeah, they just take the car and they go to Hawaii with Mel and that one business guy from Death Note.
And Sam and Jason too.
Yep, them too.
And Mallory's roommate too. So.
Oh yeah, they all just went to Hawaii, you know.
No,
apocalypse in Hawaii.
Yeah, they escaped Death Note and Bird Box. So there you go.
I don't know why the hell would you take. First of all, where are you gonna go?
Yeah, pretty
like
much.
You're just gonna stay in the car forever?
Yeah. They had to have died. There's no way they got. It didn't seem like they had much of a game plan. Yeah. They actually tried to make. There's a joke out there too, where the actor that looks like Felix. You ever heard of Machine Gun Kelly?
No.
He's a he's a musician. A lot of people, if you go on IMDb and you go on cast, they change it to say Machine Gun Kelly plays Felix, which is funny. But yeah, so basically everyone's fucked because all the food was in the car now and stuff. So they're back to square one.
And they don't have a way to get back to the grocery store.
Yeah, so they're not even at square one. They're like at square -100.
I know, right? Like shit. Now we're like super screwed.
So then we find out too, Mallory gets a baby shower gift for Olympia. It's like, a Hello Kitty keychain. Which, this scene ties in because then the next, because like I said, shows too much of the future. It showed Mallory's daughter in the beginning of the movie holding the keychain.
Yeah, and I get it's supposed to go oh, we know something happened to Olympia. What happened to her?
Yeah, but
at the same time, it's it would have been just better if we don't know at all.
Yeah. So then the next scene, we hear Olympia talking to somebody. She lets Gary in, and everyone's
it's nice that that she's a nice character. She's not like everyone else where they're hardened for the apocalypse. She's just a good person. Also let him in. But I was a little okay, you're an idiot. Don't just she was okay, be careful. Don't wake anyone else up. She was being secretive about it. I was tell them someone's at the door.
Good thing Mallory heard it too, because I know
he would have just started. You just would have killed Olympia and then opened up all the windows.
Yeah. So.
I mean, he did that anyway, but
he would have. Everyone would have been dead right then and there.
Yeah.
And this is when we find out.
Yeah, what's up, Liam? All right. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thanks. This is when we find out a little bit more. How about the people the guy that worked at Charlie's grocery store, how the people that are sociopaths or just mentally crazy can look at these creatures fine, which makes sense because they don't have
not even just fine, they become their servants and want other people to look.
It makes sense though, because when you're a little crazy and a little off like that, you're not going to have a filter to really kill yourself because you're just crazy.
It clearly does something to them.
Yeah. But I feel like I kind of like that it not everyone has the same effects to these creatures. So that was pretty cool. And Gary, and we find out later, but I feel like everyone kind of was makes up a bullshit story about how people came to force him to look. So he somehow got away. But the story he just tells is just complete bullshit.
Yeah, so. He says there's an asylum and then people got out and we're gonna make him look, and I think it's pretty clear he was actually from that asylum.
Yeah.
He wasn't just a random guy, he was actually there.
And Douglas knew this was bullshit, I think. But so
I don't think Douglas knew, but he was not taking any chances.
Yeah.
And then that old lady who talked twice bashed Douglas over the head with a lamp and knocked him out.
Yeah, because Douglas just holds the shotgun at him and says, this guy has to go. This guy's trouble. And like we said, well, we didn't say it yet, but we said it off camera. I know Douglas is an asshole, but we find out he was in the right here.
Yeah,
so.
Honestly, Douglas didn't really do anything wrong. He says a lot of bad shit, but he doesn't actually do anything bad.
I feel like he's generally a good person, but
yeah, he is. He apologizes to Gray and like makes amends with Mallory. Like he's an asshole, sure, but like he's not like a bad guy.
Yeah. So they lock him in the garage for the rest.
Douglas almost saved everyone's life if it wasn't for that old lady bashing him over the head.
I know.
And then they throw him in the garage and lock him out.
Yeah, which is kind of I thought that was a little much.
And like I don't know what they were gonna like. What was it? Were they just gonna keep him in there forever?
Yeah, right.
Like I mean, like I guess it was supposed to be like let him cool down a bit.
Yeah, but
like, I mean,
I don't think they needed to lock him out though. They could have just put him had him go put him in bed or something like.
Maybe like tie him to a chair and like when he wakes up like talk to him, but like.
Yeah. In a sense, though, so yeah, it's not good that they didn't listen to him, but in a sense, it's a good thing they locked him out of the garage, because then what happens next,
Yeah, because he ends up saving them, because, yeah.
Well, sort of, but...
Well, yeah, that will save is a strong word.
Anyhow, then the next scene, we hear them, like, listening to music. It's nice to have these nice scenes in, like, a zombie apocalyptic world.
Yeah, it's just, like, kind of, like, living their daily lives.
Because you don't really get those that much. And then Olympia's water breaks. And, then Mallory's water breaks. So it's like that instant, like, in a movie or a TV show where just everything that can go on can go on. So
yeah. Well, they say earlier in the movie, Olympia was expecting, like, late September, and Mallory's expecting like early October. So like we knew they were close. Yeah. But it was a little weird how they were like exact same day.
Yeah, that was a bit too coincidental, I think.
Yeah.
So it does show that time was passing at that point too, because they were in there about a month, so or a couple months. So
yeah, I think maybe like 2 or 3.
And then why don't you talk about what Gary does?
Well, when everyone else is upstairs with the baby, or like delivering the baby, Gary puts the birds in the fridge. Oh, but I don't think we said earlier, but yeah, like the birds can like sense, like what's up outside.
Yeah, I mean we kind of knew.
It's called Bird Box.
Yeah, at this point we kind of knew that, but we didn't really know it.
Yeah, which is why they kept the birds, because like they could sense danger.
And that's why Gary like put them in the fridge, because
so they don't warn everyone what's happening. Yeah. And we see like Gary get out a bunch of pictures he drew, and it turns out like he saw the things.
And Douglas clearly knows like this guy, like now at this point this guy is clearly off, because and
he starts opening all the windows, and Douglas is like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah.
So Douglas can like see through like the garage window.
Yeah. Yeah, he opens the garage.
I don't get why Douglas didn't just like bash the thing open.
Right. Then when Thomas comes downstairs, like Douglas tries to warn him about it, and grab the shotgun and take the guy out, but
we didn't say he opens the garage door, so like Douglas is like he's like still in the house, but like he's outside kind of.
Yeah. And before Thomas can really do anything about it, Gary hits him with some type of canned food item, like right in the back of the head, knocking him out.
Yeah, knocks him out. Then he goes upstairs, and he's like, no one else like heard what was happening downstairs because the music was playing.
Yeah.
And two of them were popping out a baby, so they were kind of focused on that.
Yeah. And then after the babies, Olympia and Mallory have given birth, Gary comes up and holds Olympia's baby and opens the shades and stuff so that way they can see, which is going to be kind of interesting because I kind of maybe thinking like would a baby would feel that way, because technically
I don't know, because like it was like the baby that like stopped pregnant women from seeing the things.
Yeah. And like baby, and like it's a baby, like you don't really
what's the baby gonna do?
Yeah. Yeah, and then Cheryl tries to like attack, Gary with scissors, but Gary forces her eyes open and she kills herself with the scissors, like through the neck, which was pretty gruesome. Then I think
I think a fault with this movie is like the side characters don't really do anything.
Yeah.
Like this old lady's like there the whole movie, and we just like barely see her. She's just kind of like, oh yeah, you're there.
Yeah, you're there. Hi.
Hi, die.
Yeah. And then I forget. I believe Douglas comes up. No, that's not what happens. He forces Olympia finally sees. And like I said, we talked about this before. Then, like, I think it's still kind of like subconsciously like there because like Olympia like gives up her baby like before she commits suicide. Saving her baby's life in a sense. So I think like even though you see these creatures, like even though you're suicidal, you're still subconsciously somewhat there.
Yeah, like you can kind of control yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And she like runs out the window, and
it was
obviously
kind of, I don't want to say funny when this happened, but like it was a little like weird. Like she just like face plants and then just like stops and then like does like a flip and then falls to the ground.
I don't know if I would have done that like scene because it was supposed to be like a serious scene where she like a mother the mother of her child just died and stuff. So
yeah,
I would have had her die.
I mean, it's realistic, I guess. Like I mean, if you jumped out a window, that's probably how she would fall.
I just think they should have had her die a different way because it was too comedic how she died and it was supposed to be serious.
Yeah.
And then he's about to force Mallory to look, but then Douglas comes up, holding him like gunpoint with the shotgun. But typically in any other movie, that would get Gary to like be like, okay, got my hands up, but because Douglas can't open his eyes, he could just
because like the windows are open all behind Gary. Yeah. So Gary's like moving around, getting closer to Douglas, and Douglas, he's trying to just like with his ears.
Yeah. And then Gary tackles him like down the stairs, like off a ledge.
I think he shoots him once, doesn't he?
I think he shot him, but like he acted like he got hit because he went ow.
Yeah, well, I think like he shot him in the shoulder or something. Like he didn't like hit a vital area, but like
Douglas I think he grazed him. Yeah. And then he tackles him.
Down the stairs, and then he like stabs Douglas in the throat
with scissors. Yeah, and he says, "I'm sorry you didn't get to see." And then Thomas finally comes to. Good old Thomas, man. And
they have you keep calling him Thomas. It's Tom.
Oh, I thought it was short for Tom. I thought it was short for Thomas.
I mean, it could be. They just call him Tom.
Yeah.
Oh, we found out earlier in the movie, like Tom was like a soldier overseas.
Yeah, I was gonna get to that because I forgot to talk about it. But I was gonna get to it, and then I didn't want to randomly put it up when it wasn't important. But it is important, and like that kind of like shows like we should talk about that too. Like even like when he was like this big war going on, like an old kid was walking his kids to school, like showing like even though like there's times of war, like life still goes on, and he wants his kids to see what really is important in life. So I thought that was cool because that kind of ties into why Tom is the way he is later on in the movie. So
yeah. But Tom is like still like concussed and like kind of out of it, but he starts going for Douglas's shotgun, and Gary's pretty out of it too. He just fell down a flight of stairs and got shot.
Yeah.
So they start like fighting for the shotgun.
And we hear it go off, but we don't really know what happens. And we find out, like, we see, like, someone walk into the room, and Mallory's hiding underneath with the babies. And, Tom comes in, and we know Gary's dead at this point. This was a nice scene. Very gruesome. It was like, I mean, I can't really say your adrenaline was pumping like you didn't know what was going to happen because, like I said, the future events.
Mallory and the babies make it, so.
Yeah.
The only real surprise here was that Tom made it.
Yeah.
But like from later on that like Tom doesn't make it because he's not with the kids.
Yeah. But you knew like you had like somewhat of a feeling like the other characters, like most of the characters, weren't making it. So then it cuts to 5 years in the future. I gotta say
like
too,
fully like, this time.
Huh?
Like fully in the future.
Yeah. They're staying like in an abandoned house, like in the forest, which I would have loved to have filmed there. That looked like a nice scenery to be in. Like,
weren't they in the same house as before?
No, because they were in more of a forest this time. Like,
oh yeah, I guess
the house they were staying at was like in kind of the city suburban area ish.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And Tom and Mallory. Living with themselves. And Mallory's like teaching, boy and girl, because she hasn't named them yet. We won't get into why. And obviously you could tell which one's which. I shouldn't have to say it because it's pretty.
That'd be kind of messed up of her. Like name the girl boy and name the boy girl.
If this was a comedy, it definitely would have happened that way.
Yeah.
If they make a parody of this movie, that needs to happen. Like the girl's boy and the boy's girl. That would be awesome. Yeah. Actually, there's a funny thing. I know it's random, but it was a parody. They made a Walking Dead parody, and they made fun of like Rick screaming Carl, and the kid's name wasn't even Carl, but obviously they were going with that meme because he can't properly say Carl's name.
Yeah, so. Like Coral.
But anyhow, that's so, like I said, this is why we're not meant to do this full time because we get too off track. But anyhow, so then so they're teaching them like how to survive in this world. This is when they fully start to use the blindfolds. Because I think actually they used them when they went into the supermarket, so it's like more of a thing now. Then pretty much they're just surviving on their own. Like the first 5 minutes when they cut into the 5 years, it's just kind of updating us about what they've been doing within the 5 years. Like I said, this is also a flaw too because Mallory now all of a sudden has had this big character change and we don't know what it is. I mean, we have an idea.
You kind of say it's like PTSD from the whole Gary thing, but
it's not enough to they didn't really update us enough to really kind of say why.
Yeah, she's kind of went from 0 to 100 real quick. It's okay.
Why don't you talk about the scene with Tom? He has a scene with the kids where he's telling them a story.
Tom is telling the kids a story from his childhood about when he climbed a tree, but Mallory interrupts, tells the kids to go to bed. And fights with Tom, saying he shouldn't get their hopes up about all these great things that they're never gonna see. And Tom says the story about when he was a soldier, and when he escort this dad, walking his kids to school, and how he likes to think that he's still doing that now.
Yeah.
And says there's more to life than just this, which I agree. I feel in a lot of apocalypse movies, it's just getting from day to day. But what's the point in just doing that? You want to actually live and not just
survive. Yeah. Which he basically says that. Yeah. And I feel that's what makes Tom a likable character. In this show. Movie, anyways. And I feel that's a flaw of The Walking Dead now, where that's kind of all the characters are that way now. I mean, also too, it's been a while, but I feel there needs to be one character that kind of isn't that way, because every time there is a character that's that way, they die. Which I guess that maybe that's supposed to make sense. You shouldn't be that way, but I feel you should kind of be that way. But yeah, then the next I think too they had gotten together before, officially before this too. They kissed and made out and stuff. And then this scene happens. And the next day, Mallory and Tom apologize. I think Tom's just apologizing because, because he really has no reason to apologize. He's just doing it.
He didn't really do anything wrong. He just told the kids a story.
Yeah, he's just doing it for the sake of. I think he just doesn't want to be in the doghouse, so I think that's why he's apologizing.
Yeah. Especially because the doghouse is outside, and we know what happens when you go outside.
Yeah, right. Well, everyone in a relationship says, I don't want to be in the doghouse.
Yeah, I know what you meant. I was just kidding.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying, if I'm in a relationship, I want someone to legitimately build a doghouse and go in it and just say to my girlfriend, looks like I'm in the doghouse now.
Yeah.
Probably be the end of a relationship, and maybe that's why I never get into relationships, because I think about stuff like that. So,
yeah. Think about all the great ways. Got to make a list of great ways you can make her dump you.
Yeah, right. Instead of making ways to stay to even get one and stay with them, just making up ways to not even get one and not even stay with them. So
yeah, man, we're good in that department.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're just living their life. They go into abandoned houses and get food from and they even say the food's pretty stale, but and what are you gonna do?
Yeah, right. You can't not eat it. So
yeah. They find out on the radio that there's a safe haven that they want to travel. Tom wants to travel to it.
We should mention too, like we see throughout like this movie, like Mallory is talking to the walkie-talkie, and someone finally answered after 5 years.
And Tom really wants to go because he's been hearing car noises lately, like cars driving by.
Yeah.
And he's saying like it doesn't sound like they have blindfolds on.
Yeah.
So like he's like saying like people like Gary are in the area.
Yeah. And we find out that to be true because they finally show up like into the abandoned house that they're at.
Yeah. And we find out like Gary wasn't like the only one. Like people who are like insane or like criminals or like servants of these things.
Yeah. Wish they would have explored that a little bit more. I mean, they did enough, I guess, but I feel
it's not like they're like taking orders from like these things. They're just like, it's kind of like a religion. Like they like see these things as like beautiful, and they want other people to like see it.
I really wish like that was in the movie a little bit more than it was. 'Cause I actually like that a lot. They're basically like they're basically like doomed. So Tom offers to go be like a distraction while they escape, which we talked about before. He really didn't need to do this.
I know, they could have just like snuck out the back.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of came up with like a way like if this was gonna happen, like maybe they got caught and Tom, like could still like distract himself enough so they could get away. Because it wasn't like they didn't know like other people were there and stuff. But I thought it was
just like comes out the front door.
Yeah. And
I get it was probably like a better safe than sorry. Like if they run away, like they might get shot. Like they might get spotted and get shot.
Yeah.
Like it was like a way like Tom just like fights them off while they run away. But like still, like they all probably could have made it.
Yeah. Tom at first, he does it with his blindfold on, but he's basically, I think too, like, they overhear like them running away and stuff, and Tom's afraid, like, that if he dies, like they'll get caught. So
and like Tom basically said, like, Tom knew he wasn't gonna make it out as soon as he like walked out the door. Like that's why he was like, "Bye, Mallory, like go away, be safe."
Yeah.
Like so, Tom went on a suicide mission, so he didn't really,
Yeah. So basically, him taking his basically there was no point of him not to have his blindfold on. Like he knew he wasn't getting out of there. So
he's like, "Sweet, I can finally see the sun in like 5 years."
Yeah. Right. And they get into a gun battle. Tom kills most of them, and eventually, like he finally starts to like see the creatures and stuff, and he's getting into that zone where he's gonna like commit suicide. But there's still like one of them he's got to kill. I actually like this scene a lot where he's like getting into that zone, but he's like within enough where he could just finally pull the trigger and kill that guy.
Like the last guy right before he kills himself.
Yeah, that was a very cool scene. And I feel like too that's what makes Tom's character so great. Like we were all upset when he finally died. Because he was very good. I thought he was the best character of the whole movie. And then basically at this point, like Mallory and stuff like realizes like she has to go to this place that Rick because we find out this guy named Rick. Now it would have been funny. I'll just say it real quick if this had been Rick Grimes because this was right after his last episode. Yeah. So it would have been not right after, but it was like a few weeks.
Poor Rick. If that was the case, poor Rick in a zombie apocalypse and whatever the hell this is.
Yeah, right. Like more updated. Yeah.
Rick Grimes is just like it's like every apocalypse in one universe, like zombie, Terminator, this.
I think at that point, like Rick would just kill himself. Like I was just,
at that point, it's like all right, fuck it.
Yeah. Maybe he wanted me going back to like the other because think about it like. We should talk about it too. Like a zombie apocalypse sucks, but this is like worse because you can't even like you have to have a blindfold on just to go outside and stuff. Like But anyhow, so they find out they have a community, so they decide to finally go on the trip, and then it kind of cuts us like because it shows like the beginning of the movie pretty much twice where Mallory says they're going on the trip, and like I said, this scene would have been so much better if we had not seen it the first time. So, they get a boat, they go on the trip, and now this is kind of cutting us to, like, stuff we had seen. this is like a flaw too. Like the stuff they show in 5 years, like when they cut off and on, isn't really that interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's, a riverman popping up out of the, water and trying
to. Mallory like looks in like an abandoned building, and that's it.
Yeah. And then Mallory like says like someone has to look when they get to the rafters, and which was kind of
Mallory was just gonna like have one of her kids kill themselves basically.
Yeah, which was, Mallory like thinks about all the people she's lost, and that makes her not want to do it. But if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, that's just stupid.
Like I feel like Mallory like is kind of messed up in the first place for like she was gonna have one of her kids kill themselves for her basically.
Yeah. I mean, it should have taken her like 15 minutes though, because to make up her mind, it should have been like, yeah, no, we're not, because Mallory couldn't look because then she would like on the Raptors, she would have just killed the whole thing, the whole group. So yeah, it was stupid. But pretty much no one looks, and they like huh?
Yeah, and they're fine. Like nothing. Like it's some stuff happens, but like they survive.
The landing doesn't go like as planned though. Like if they don't make it possible,
like they don't die from it. So
yeah. And then they walk across. They realize they only have like a few. They're at walking distance at this point from the community because I think they can hear like the other like they have birds there, so they can hear those birds. And they have the birds in a box, like their own.
Oh
so,
my!
Like,
roll credits.
Yeah. And I think Mallory like trips falls down a hill and gets separated from the kids.
Yeah, and the kids like stand there for a second, and then they walk in like different directions. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, because they can't
they
see.
Get lost.
And yeah, pretty much. And we see like Girl and Mallory are the ones that like really don't get along with each other. Like Boy and Mallory, they are fine, but they don't get along. But it's really Girl and Mallory that don't really get along that much.
Yeah, the girl's like scared of Mallory,
which you really can't blame her. Yeah. And Girl has like a bell that she rings if they get lost or something. I like how Girl has the bell, but Boy doesn't have the bell, so if he gets lost, he's just screwed. Like,
yeah, I know, right?
I guess he has the birds, but it's like, anyone, like, if she could just go to like a different birds, but yeah, I guess we know who the real favorite child is, and that thing is.
Yeah. Mallory, apologizes to Girl.
Yeah. Because she like hears because Girl and Boy overhear like Mallory's voice, but it's really just one of the demons telling them to take the blindfold off. So, which is like I think like that shows like the beings are like adapting to like outside.
Which I don't know if they are, because like remember like Lydia saw her mom, like not just heard her voice, like saw her physically.
That's true. I mean,
it's like I don't know. It's like these things are weird.
Yeah. And pretty much Mallory like begs them not to take their children or her children, and
but the girl comes back. She grabs them both, and she like starts booking it to the.
And this is when Mallory
booking it hopefully in the right direction. She's like, "Well, I'm gonna start running in one direction. Hopefully, it's the right one."
And we should mention this is when Mallory kind of admits like Tom was right, but there is more to life than just surviving. So because that's like a big scene we have to talk about, and Mallory finally gets to, she thinks she gets to the right place. And then she gets into someone opens the door, and we see that it's the community.
They check her eyes, make sure she's not like, Gary or whatever.
Yeah, because there's like a way, because you could kind of tell like by looking at someone's eyes if they're,
Yeah, like when you see these things, like your like pupils like break.
Yeah. And then, Mallory, goes into the community. They let the birds go. She sees Dr. Lapham from the beginning of the movie. This is the first time they've seen each other in like 6 years. It's kind of funny because Dr. Lapham asked him what their kid's name is. And, when they say boy and girl, like Dr. Lapham's like, You serious? Like, she looks...
Yeah. And then Mallory's like, actually, your name is Olympia and your name's Tom. Like, I feel like she said that just so she doesn't come off as, like, a crazy person. No, they totally have names that you've had for this whole time.
Yeah. I mean, it was supposed to mean something because now she's, like, looking at... gonna let her kids, like, have lives. But you could look at it that way, too. Like, she didn't want to...
Yeah, I know. I was being an asshole.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of sweet how she names, the girl after her mom and the boy after Tom.
Yeah.
Who's basically was the kid's dad.
And she kind of finally tells him, like, because, like, Mallory hasn't been, like, looking at herself as a mother figure to these kids, really just kind of someone to help them survive. So she kind of finally admits, like, to Tom that I'm your mother, like,
yeah.
And then she finally hugs, like, now it's, like, the relationship's different. Now it's mother to son versus whatever it was, like, survivalist to help survive.
Yeah, pretty much.
And, that's the end of the movie. Like, literally, that's it. Roll credits, nothing else happens.
Yeah,
like,
and by the way, we find out this community, it's like, it's a school for blind people. Yeah. And they have, like, a bunch of birds, so, like, they're fine.
Yeah. Which, makes sense. But, yeah.
And obviously not everyone there is blind, so, like, if like, people like Gary show up, they could fight him off.
Yeah, right. Well, hopefully. I would hope so.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's, like, a ton of them there, I'm sure.
Yeah. Gary, so if someone like Gary's grows up, they're not getting out alive. They're, yeah. But yeah, the ending's very anticlimactic. It's,
It's just kind of like, oh, okay, it's over.
Yeah. And, when you watch, like, a movie for 2 hours, you don't really want to have a movie that's like that. So, that kind of sucked. But,
But overall, the movie's really good. I feel like it gets most of its popularity from the whole blindfold shtick.
Yeah, and
like, I mean, it deserves it deserves being popular, just maybe not as popular as it is.
I think it's like one of those movies, where people overrated. It's good, but not great. It's like it had a following. It was a trendy movie, and then because I noticed like you too, like. When I watched the reviews the first time, it got like an A+ score, and then all of a sudden now it's like everyone kind of realized, yeah, it's good, not great.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes. Like, it'll be hyped, and then it'll just kind of be like, okay, die down a little.
Yeah. So yeah, I would give it a B-. It's good.
Yeah, I also give it a B-. It's good. It's just not like amazing.
Yeah. Like this, they could have done a lot more, maybe with the areas and stuff.
Yeah, like it doesn't, like, the characters it focuses on are good. Like, Mallory and Tom are good characters, but like,
yeah,
there's like another 5 characters that are in the house that like that talk once,
Yeah. Good old Sam and Jason, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. They're my favorite characters.
Yeah.
They should get their own spinoff.
Hey, Nate and Mel got some more people in Hawaii. They're not just sitting there alone all the time.
Yeah, I know, right? So many people. And with how many shows we're going to review, I'm sure more will join them.
Yeah, and movies and all that. So, so yeah, there you go. As for, what other people thought, they basically said the same thing we did. This is where you get to guess. Can you guess? Let me find it. Can you guess the rating? Let me find it first. I thought I had it up, but I didn't. So on IMDb, which is the fan version, out of 10, what do you think people gave it?
I'm gonna say like 7.
They get very close, 6.6.
Really? I feel like 7. I feel like 6.6 is a little too low.
Well, it's not just that though. Like a lot of people, like it's like an overall rating, so it can be. A lot of people can rate it really high, but then if a few people rate it low enough, it drops.
Yeah.
Significantly. It's like a letter grade at school. You could have like really good grades, but then you get one bad one, you just drop it right to the floor.
Yeah.
And then can you guess on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like the critics version?
If it's a 6.6 on IMDb, I'm gonna say 65%.
Very close, 63.
Really? I feel like that's too low too. I feel like it should be like a 75.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, it all depends, on
Yeah, I know, but still, I feel like that's what it deserves. It's a solid movie.
Yeah. Well, wrestling's on, so I gotta, go watch that.
Yeah. So plug your stuff. I don't really have anything to plug.
CM Brothers, Wrestling Fortune 44. Quick plugs, but you know.
Yeah.
In
Much
channel.
like this movie, the ending's just kind of abrupt and sudden.
Yeah. So yeah, we're if wrestling wasn't on right now, it wouldn't be that way. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for watching. This was our Bird Box review. Gave it a B-. I think that's pretty respectable.
Yep. We will talk to you guys later.